Welcome back. What is up? I got a request to do a starting steps video as Romania. Unfortunately, you can't start as Romania, nor can you release Romania from Austria, so you gotta start as Wallachia. But Wallachia can form Austria if we go into the Diplomacy tab and the Release Subject tab. We can't release them, but what we can do is if we go in the Cultures tab and then click on Nation Formation, it is an available nation for us to form. What we need is we need to control 3 state regions in the area of Romania. And so it's one of these, or 3 of these 8. In terms of starting steps or position, the most important feature for Wallachia is we start out as a protectorate of the Ottoman Empire. So this means they're going to protect us, not that they're going to be all that great though, because they're going to get clapped by Egypt, but this situation also means we're inside their market. So, in terms of inputs, we can kind of just ignore a lot of the inputs because we will just use them from the Ottoman Empire, and this allows us to focus on industrializing first and not worry as much about, you know, any sort of wheat farm or livestock farm or stuff like this. In terms of our political situation, we start off with traditionalism and serfdom, both of which are pretty bad. We also have land-based taxation, and per capita taxation is generally a lot better. It's not better for us currently at the very start of the game, but it will be better once we start getting some, you know, population worked up and getting out of the farms, the serfs that are on their turfs in the arable land, just on the subsistence farms. So, what we will be doing as a general strategy for Wallachia is we are going to be trying to build tall here in Wallachia as far as industry goes. Now, if you notice, we only have 50 infrastructure, so as far as the tech goes, what we will be doing is we will probably be going for railroads pretty early. But, for now, let's just take a quick look here and see if there's anything we can try and work on immediately. I'm guessing the answer will be no. Let's take a look here. We actually can pass these laws very easily. Now, I'm guessing this is because we have a jingoist as our landowner leader. And so, if you want to re-roll for an optimal start, I found jingoist is actually generally the best, because if we take a look here, in the laws, there's going to be either, so they don't have local police, but if you do have local police, passing dedicated police is a little bit tough. But here, we can instantly go to professional army, which is what we want to do, and normally landowners will oppose this because they really like peasant levies, but they won't right now because we have a jingoist landowner. If we take a look here, it's not, the armed forces support it just generally, but Ion Emmanuel however you pronounce this, supports it because he is a jingoist. I'm guessing that that is the situation, that you do not always get a jingoist as far as Romania starts or Wallachia starts. Generally speaking, you only have a dedicated path on like the larger nations, and this is a smaller nation. Okay. So, we will try and pass that immediately, and then we will be trying to weaken the landowners in order to make opposing serfdom kind of a lot easier, and to do that, we will be relying on the unholy alliance of the Intelligentsia and the Industrialists. This is something I've advocated for quite a lot. Now that the Industrialists are apparently not bugged, it should be a lot easier, so we're going to start bolstering them immediately, and bolstering them immediately. This is what we're going to use a lot of our authority for. Now, what is next? Or just talking about laws in general, once we get rid of serfdom, we can go from traditionalism to either interventionism or laissez-faire. It should be pretty easy to disempower the landowners, because if we take a look, we start out very small, and the landowners only have 3 buildings that are giving them a ton of their power, and we just will not build any more agriculture, and we don't have to, even if we start needing these inputs, because we can just get the inputs all from the Ottoman Empire. So there's a big advantage from being a protectorate at the start of the game. They start out with a protective attitude. And another thing we will do is we will try and maintain good relations with Russia and Austria, at least at the start, until we can get powerful, until we can ramp up our economy. And maybe we can do something against Moldova or Wallachia. I'm not sure exactly if we are allowed to declare war on them or not at the start of the game, because we are a protectorate and they are also protectorates of in the Ottomans market. So I'm not sure exactly what the game mechanics are on that, but we will start making relations worse with them and improving with Austria and or Russia, probably just Austria. So I think I like the idea in general of swapping to Austria's customs union. Notice we share a land border with Austria, we don't share one with Russia. If we swap to Austria's customs union later on in the game, this will kind of help things out. So we're going to improve relations with them, we're going to see if we can declare any rivalries, we can't, and we are going to damage relations with our other neighbors, if we can. Serbia and Moldova, in the hopes that we can eventually fight them. Okay, so that's our diplomacy situation gathered. Now, since we are going to be building tall and we are going to be building just only industrial things, we want to specialize. And I think generally speaking, the two best things to specialize in early on are tools and clothing if you're just going to build two. So we are going to build tools and clothing. Well, the first order of business is we're going to build our construction. But before we do that, we are going to just lay down this decree to encourage manufacturing here. It's not going to do anything yet, but it will give us a 20% throughput bonus on all manufacturing, which is going to be important. We will also queue up one construction center. I'm not sure if we can afford a second. We will also delete all of our military, because the Ottomans will protect us, or, you know, bad stuff. And then we will also put in a bunch of consumption taxes. Now, generally I go for services plus sin taxes, because this leads to kind of a good smattering of money, or a good combination of getting a lot of money and not pissing off. These will generally tax rich pops, and pops don't care as much about sin tax, and raising the taxation level will be regressive in that it will mainly tax poor pops. So if you can get away with it, or what you want to do is you want to rely on consumption taxes more so than tax level for income, because it's going to piss pops off less. You're not going to take the legitimacy hit that comes off of raising. You're not going to get the increase radicals modifier, and also it will be better for your poorer pops. Now, tech, I said we just want to go right into tools and clothing, so we will be going lathe into mechanical tools, and then probably canneries and mechanized workshop, but we also want to get railways. In terms of other tech, we're probably just going to ignore the rest of the tech tree for a little bit, but just kind of go for this. When we start building up the industry, because there's only 3 areas, it should empower the industrialists really fast, and we should be able to get out of serfdom, get out from under serfdom relatively quickly, just because we start off so small. And I think we can actually afford to build 2 construction centers, so we're going to do that. And let's see, we've spent our diplo, we've spent our authority, our economy situation's about to change as these things finish, so I think we can take an unpause. And we, of course, since we started out with the jingoist, we are going to pass this really quick. Professional armies, if you take a notice, this empowers the landowners, and this empowers the armed forces. We're trying to decrease the power of the landowners before we go after serfdom. Once we go after serfdom, we can change the economic system, which will, the main point is we will get investment pool contribution, which we are currently not getting. This investment pool contribution will allow us to build more, etc., etc. We will also be able to switch to a better tax method, which again will allow us to build more, and we're going to build super tall. We also do have to get railroads relatively early, because we only have 50 infrastructure to work with total, but we're only using 3 right now, so we should be able to do that pretty well. And so, okay, and we have a movement to abolish serfdom, which is fantastic. It doesn't have a lot of clout right now, but I'm not sure if this is lucky or just great, but yes, so that'll be good. And let's see, can we ask to switch to theirs? No, but they can ask to switch to us to switch over. This is something, this play in terms of start, Wallachia is quite a bit similar to my Tunis start, which had the same idea, which we started in the customs union of the Ottoman Empire, but I think we were just in the customs union. I don't think we were a protectorate. Oh, we were a protectorate. Okay, fair enough. I think other nations like to release you fairly often from your protectorate-dom, but once you get released, you will have to try and stay in someone else's market. You can't make it without being in someone else's market. In general, if you can try and trend to being in Austria's market, this is going to be preferable, because they have better inputs in terms of coal and iron and wood than the Ottomans in terms of like what they generally build. And then also, Austria is quite a bit stronger than the Ottomans, and you have to take sand from someone. And so what I think you want to do, because you are trying to form Romania here, is you want to take this dirt from the Ottomans, and you also want to take this from Moldavia, and then you will be able to form Romania. And you do eventually want to get Ukrainian, I think, which is part of Russia at the moment. I think that kind of the most critical thing is of going to be getting a port or a land or a navally adjacent province. So I think you really, really want this. If you stayed with the Ottomans and tried to fight Austria, you still wouldn't be able to get a port very easily because you'd have to go all the way around. So this is kind of my reasoning behind thinking that in general, switching to Austria's market is going to be where you want to go. But right now you're weak and can't really do anything, hence deleting all the military, which does give us a nice little surplus here. We are going to continue to build more and more construction centers until we are running a very slight deficit. We do have an investment pool growing. Interesting. I'm not sure where the contribution's coming from, because we are traditionalists, and there is no contribution here. Not sure exactly how that game mechanic works, but we are going to build another construction center. We could also switch these over, maybe to iron frame, and this is something to consider, because it's going to be very expensive for us to switch over later. In fact, maybe we will do that now. How long can we run this? We have a gold reserve of 130k, so we can run a 4k deficit for quite a while. So we're actually going to switch to iron frame buildings on these, because otherwise, if we get up to like level 10 construction center and then we switch, it's going to be like impossible for us to do. It's going to be very painful, and we only have one state, so it's not like we can switch it over in one state and not the other. And then what we are going to build here is going to be our first thing, which is going to be a tooling workshop or a textile mill, depending on which makes more money. Generally, tooling workshop is more profitable at the start, and we are immediately going to use pig iron tools as well, because it's more profitable, and set it to auto expand. After that, we will build our textile mill and also set it to auto expand. And we will switch these over. Now we can switch these over because, or actually we do have to check to see if there is silk in the Ottoman's market. So we just go to the market tab and take a look. There is in fact silk. It's quite expensive, so maybe we wait for the building to finish to see if that's going to be profitable. Notice we're now hemorrhaging a little bit of money, but it's not a lot. Our construction goes up by quite a bit, and we are going to build tall. Now if you take a look here, we have a 20% throughput bonus. This is from encouraging manufacturing, and this is how we are going to get our comparative advantage and try and build really tall. Every one of these uses 3 infrastructure, and we start out using 3, so if my math is correct, you should be able to build about 16 of these before you will need railways, and this will just kick you just over the construction or the infrastructure capacity. And so this is pretty much all you're going to build, and we are running a shortage of what? Of iron and tools. Well, the tools we will be able to solve ourselves, although this is quite expensive right now. So we will make an import route to the Ottoman market for both of these things, because we have excess admin. So let's take a look here in the market. Unfortunately, it will import... let's import from the Austrians, because we are adjacent to them. And we'll import tools as well. And we will probably delete that import route pretty quickly, at least the one for tools. We want to do our trade with Austria, even if Russia's more profitable. The reason being is I think we want to pony up close to Russia rather than Austria. Although, if we take a look here, yeah, that's definitely what we want to do. Because if we fight Moldova, for example, we are going to not have an adjacency with Russia at all, and I think the game plan is going to be taking these 2 territories in order to form Romania. This should get a lot better once the construction goods get cheaper, so maybe it's best to wait for the tooling workshop before you turn on the iron tools, so just build 2 construction centers and then turn on the tooling workshop. But we also like to go burr. This is going down quite fast. But let's take a look. If our inputs have been solved, they have been solved. It's just expensive. We might have to build a little bit of iron ourselves. We are hoping that with the import route and yeah, the Ottomans also building their own iron, we won't have to do too much of that. In general, this guy's a traditionalist. We are going to say take the minus popularity, and we are going to turn off the construction method for now, actually. Because this is too much. We're going to turn it down and wait until we finish this tools. No harm, no foul. Okay. But yeah, the name of the game is going to be just expanding just these, because the way that throughput bonuses work is they are increasingly useful. When we build the second tooling workshop, what will happen is we will get to a throughput bonus of 21%. So this will effectively, the next building we build will effectively be 122% of the building. We will be 100% of a building just because it's the building itself. You will get an extra 20% from the encouraging manufacturing, so 120, and an extra 2%. The 1% of that will be from the throughput bonus on the current building that just got constructed, and an additional one on the previous one. When you build the 51st building, after you've gotten max throughput bonus from economies of scale, what will happen is that you will actually get 220% of a building. Because it's going to be the 51st building, it will get 50% bonus from the economies of scale of the building itself, and it will get another 50% from all the previous 50% buildings going from 49 to 50%, effectively, and then it will get an additional 20% from the economies of scale for a total of from the encouraging manufacturing for a total of 220%. So this is kind of the name of the game. At the start of the game, you have a max bonus from a max throughput bonus of 20%, and you get an additional 10% from mechanized workshop and an additional 20% from shift work. But you probably won't be building above size 30 very quickly, and we'll just switch to mechanical tools because that's what we want to do. We will probably need to do steel ourselves, and so we will just have these three industries here because the steel will build into the other ones. And so, is there a demand in the market currently? Or tools are expensive here, so we should be able to do this. We will have to try and keep importing steel, and we will stop our import of this from them, and we will start a new route to import iron. Even if it's not productive, I think we want one, because we will definitely build in. We're definitely going to use a lot of iron, so we'll actually wait until it's productive. Now, our authority increased from something, so don't mind if we do. We'll put in another consumption tax. And once this gets to a few K, we should be able to turn on the iron frame buildings again. That was a little, jumped the gun a little bit. I suppose it might be better to only build one construction center and then turn on iron frame buildings with just the one. I'm not sure exactly which is the most min-maxy, which gives you the most construction, but this is another idea. I think we can up the speed a little bit. We will probably be alternating between these two, but what we will be doing is looking to see which one's the most productive, and then building primarily that. Now, an important thing to note here is that we can actually support with our own iron and coal. We can support steel and tooling workshops ourselves if need be, but if we lose like access to the Ottomans market somehow, or like if they have a revolution that just takes all this chunk, we will be in big trouble, economically speaking. And there's a lot of things that can put us in big trouble in terms of being inside someone's market, so it is a bit of a tentative position, but it's also a very strong one. Because we can focus so much early on, and we don't have to build a tooling workshop, a textile mill, a paper mill. We don't have to build like one of everything, and instead we can try and get the economies of scale stuff. We are not taking a manufacturing throughput penalty, so we will eat this. We will maybe turn this off, and then we will take a look into what other laws we can maybe pass here. We can try and get rid of serfdom. The movement's not really big enough, and we don't have enough power. Right of assembly is kind of nice. See, the problem is our institutions only cost 11 bureaucracy, so we could maybe go for schools. Let's see. We could go for religious schools, don't really want that. Public schools, I don't think we're allowed to, in terms of, I think we need tech before this. Yeah, we need empiricism. We also have state religion already in place, so maybe get rid of state religion. But it is giving us authority, which is allowing us to build more right now. I think we are going to stay put on that front. We could try and get local or a dedicated police force. This will take up some of our bureaucracy, but I think that this is okay. It's also just something to do while we still have a jingoist landowner, and it'll pass quite easily. Now if we take a look, the tooling workshop, way more profitable. This will... I'm not sure we have dyes in the market. Let's check. We do have dyes in the market, so we will turn on that. And then we also have silk in the market, so we'll turn on that. Ottomans notably can produce silk, but then we're probably going to be mostly building tooling workshops. Eventually it gets to we're just supplying too many tools, and what you can do is you can export tools from the market, probably to Austria. So if we take a look here, and we take a look at our market price, cannons are expensive, which means we're about to have this go on. But let's see if we can import. Another thing is, the Ottomans generally need to eat a lot of military goods. You could also decide to specialize in military goods, but I think it's better to do tools, steel, and clothes. But perhaps tools, military goods, and perhaps you skip the clothes and instead you do military goods. This is possible. I'm not sure which is best. I'm generally thinking you can't build it that high, so I would just generally avoid it. But it would be a good way, if you want the Ottomans to be stronger, building military production, or what is it, arms industries, is probably a good way to try and actually empower the Ottomans if you're trying to stick with them, but we're not. We are trying to eventually find our way into Austria. So if they ever offer us a chance to swap over to their customs union, we're going to take it. We obviously can't now because we're a protectorate, so we can't solicit that type of thing. But we want to be big friends with them. Napoleonic warfare, we don't care. We are just here to build tall. Now if you take a look, once this finishes, we will take a closer look, I suppose, at the fact that we're going to have a throughput bonus of 21%. And so this means that we are producing more goods, and so this will give us a big advantage overall once we start getting to higher levels. Can we export anything from their market and make money? So another thing you can do when you're inside someone else's market is you can make trade routes that will be profitable, and your guys at the trade center will make money. This would be something you could do with, let's say, cannons when they go to war, or, you know, we can also export goods that they have a lot of in the Ottoman market, like alcohol would be a good example. Alcohol is probably the best example, and you just look at productivity. This is something you could do. I want to conserve the bureaucracy though for a while, but this is the thing. Since this is not productive, maybe we will get rid of it and put it back in play. No, we're fine with it. We do want to be doing trade with them. We will eventually need it, especially when this next one finishes. I don't think there's any steel currently in our market, so we can't switch to steel tools when we finish it, but we can build this in the queue next, and we will be getting there pretty quick here with the mechanical tools. And so we want to be able to support those with steel. I think that... let's see how much steel this takes. Each level takes 20 steel, and each level of this produces... oh, I forget how much steel they produce per level. This will tell us. Okay. So we'll produce 50 steel. No, wait. No, that's just the price. Oh, there we go. Show per level values. So each one will produce 65 steel, so we'll be able to support 3 tooling workshops, which I think is what we have producing. Yeah, so that'll be good. And we will support the iron or the tools ourselves, assuming the Ottomans does not decide to switch their tools over to using steel, which they might. But in that case, our steel will become really expensive, and then we will focus on steel. And so it's just going to be a little bit of a whack-a-mole game between these 3. Ideally, you would do it with less and less, like 2, but this is... by using 3, you give yourselves a little bit more flexibility and a little less, I guess, vulnerability. I've done this type of thing where you just build really tall and just build entirely tools, and then I think I was playing as Portugal, and then France, Great Britain, whose market I was in, started an import route for tools from France, and it completely collapsed my entire economy because the tools price went way down, and then there was nothing I could do. The investment pool transfer went to nothing because The investment pool transfer, which is currently not here, is going to be the way you make most of your money in order to pay for all your construction. And so if it goes to nothing, then you're in really bad shape. We take a look here. In order to go about that, we are going to have to abolish serfdom. So we might take a crack at it in just a second here, actually. We have dedicated police force. So let's take a look at... I think we are going to use the Unholy Alliance. We will see who's currently powerful. Now, for now, it would be the rural folk and the Intelligentsia that would be taking a crack at it. As long as this doesn't actually radicalize the landowners, which it probably will, we will actually go for it. It doesn't radicalize them because they're so happy with us right now. So we will put the two who support it in government. And then we will go for abolishing serfdom. And I'm going to take a brief pause and be right back. Alright, we are back and we are continuing on. We just started trying to abolish serfdom, so that's the current situation. Sorry about that, I had a phone call. Building tall here, of course. And I think this is about to finish here. And so when it does, we'll be able to see the throughput bonus go up by 1%. I think it's important to emphasize that getting rid of serfdom is really good because when we unlock the new ability, to switch from traditionalism. So with serfdom, you can switch to agrarianism. Agrarianism gives 25% investment pool contribution from the aristocrats. The aristocrats aren't what we're building into. We're building into capitalists. And so this is pretty much useless. Once we get either investment pool contribution from the interventionalism or from laissez-faire, laissez-faire being much better, this will give us an enormous amount of money depending on how profitable our buildings are. So we will be taking in most of our money for construction based on investment pool contribution. Because if we take a look, we don't have the most pops. We just got 1 million. We're not going to get a lot from like just regular taxes, any of these taxes, as much as we're going to get from... Well, we would get quite a bit from if we had like proportional taxation, because we'd be getting a lot from the dividends rate, which is based on how profitable these buildings are. But we will not be getting a lot of just population taxes, and so switching over there is pretty key. Now if we take a look here, we're running a negative balance, but we do have a throughput bonus of 21% now that we have the economies of scale. This balance should kick up once we are fully employed, which generally speaking, when you build a new one, the balance goes down as you are trying to employ, and then once you're fully employed, the balance goes up. This will notably, our standard of living should crank up pretty well, or pretty responsively to any time we finish a building, just because we're on the one state, and the standard of living, as you try and employ more guys, see now it's super profitable, as you try and employ more guys, you have to raise the wages, and then the wages increase the standard of living, and we see it creeping up already from the increased wages on the new building, because it's just such a large percentage of our economy. But when we have a bunch of construction finished, when we switch over to a better law, and we have construction finishing, when we have more construction and we have a huge investment pool contribution, if our buildings go from being profitable to unprofitable, that will just like tank our economy really fast. It will be very uncomfortable. And so this like very tenuous situation is kind of just what you get when you are playing inside someone else's customs union and doing this build tall strategy. There's no way to make it like way more consistent other than like if we were to try and make sure we have enough coal mines and iron mines ourselves to support what we're doing, but that would involve just building a lot of them, which isn't terrible because they too benefit from economies of scale. But we're just going to do it like this. Let's see. We will take the enactment chance. We would like the landowners to get weaker, but we really just want the enactment chance. And that is a very nice tick, given that we have like a 55%, we had a huge stall percentage chance coming from the landowners. So, pretty lucky to get that event, because we're more likely to stall than to push. And you'll notice tools are a lot more effective than the clothing. The thing about clothing is the most resilient industry you can build up because it is the most basic good demanded by your pops other than grain. And so that's kind of why we go for clothes in addition to tools. I suppose if you wanted to develop a little bit of a different strategy, you could go for iron mine, coal mine, steel, and tooling workshops and kind of just have everything centralized. The problem is you yourself have like no demand for tools, and so other than the mines do demand tools though, so it wouldn't be terrible. But you would have to try and export tools, and since you're landlocked, yikes, you can only export to the Ottomans and the Austria if something like weird happens and you get booted out of a market, which is why we're trying to... Everything we do is we're going to try and play nice with Austria as much as possible. If tools become cheap, which they are not, it will make our building a lot less profitable. And again, the way, I think I mentioned this earlier, the way we are trying to, we'll try and deal with that is by exporting to either the Austrians or the Russians. Now, we can export to the Austrians right away just because we're trying to play nice with them, and we want to have this route anyways, and we can also export to the Russians. I think we're going to hold off for now. I think that our potential export partners, that this is based on the interests that the Ottomans have, because if I recall correctly, we should have no declared interest potential. Yeah, we don't. It would help if we had a navy, but we can't have a navy. And we are starting to creep up there a little bit in terms of money we're taking in. I think it's not going to get super good looking until we manage to switch over our laws from, traditionalism to laissez-faire. Laissez-faire is going to be a bit difficult to pass through, though, because if you look, industrialists are marginalized. Hopefully it's not bugged. 1.1 on delivery was bugged, where you just couldn't... you could not make the industrialists very powerful. Let's see if we can see... we can't see their clout over time because they are marginalized. So we'll just remember that... Oh, here we go. Yeah, so their clout's been steadily increasing, and it will really increase as we build more of these tooling workshops. And this is a big part of why we're doing this strategy. If you take a look, they're mostly industrialists. Yeah, we don't have the 1.1 bug. We have the 1.11 or 1.1.1 fix, where before what it would be is capitalists would not join the industrialist IG, which of course was like really bad. Hopefully this ticks luckily, and we will go have at it. So this might have actually been enough to make the industrialists not marginalized. Nope, they just boosted 1% though, because it weakened them. So we could go for we can't go for tax system, so I think it might just be sit and chill time. We do have abolished serfdom. We have slave trade, but abolishing it's not the highest priority here. We could switch to appointed bureaucrats, but I really don't want to make the landowners super mad at us. And we don't have any PMs to switch over yet, but I think what we will do... I think that you could actually develop a little bit of a different strategy than we've gone here. I'm kind of using a strategy we used for Portugal, but going atmospheric engine instead of mechanized workshops, and going into building, the iron and the coal is also reasonable. In fact, because we're not going to use the canneries, and we don't even have any fish. So I think we're going to actually make a bit of an adjustment to this strategy, and just build just the one. Let's do that, I guess. I think we're just going to build just the one textile mill, and decide that we're going to increase the iron mines and the coal mines. Oop, I actually don't want those at the front of the queue. I want the steel at the front of the queue. And we are going to do steel, tools, iron, and coal. This will be a little bit less resilient, and so maybe long-term we just try and balance these 5 a little bit. But once we get atmospheric engine, right now the merchant guilds are owned by shopkeepers, which are primarily petite bourgeoisie, a little bit of industrialists, but notably not any landowners, which is what we are trying to avoid, because we are trying to pass some laws that the landowners like. But once we switch to atmospheric engine pump, we will enact... Or actually, this is probably the better way to visualize it. Once we have the production method of atmospheric engine pump, or condensing, or diesel, it will switch to privately owned, which will employ capitalists, which are primarily industrialists, and also Intelligentsia, which, I mean, these are the two groups we're trying to get. This is the unholy alliance. These are the boys. We do it for the boys. Protectionism would be fine, but mercantilism's like also okay. Mercantilism protects your, it helps for exporting. If you want to set something as export focused so that stuff cannot be dumped into your market, and then in general, your imports, when you are not, your import tariff is smaller, your import tariff's always bigger, but when you click priority on the imports, it makes it nice and cheap. We of course can't, it doesn't matter for us because we can't click that because we are inside the Ottomans market, not our own market. So passing this would not be that helpful, and it would just upset the landowners, so we're not going to go for that. There's really not a whole lot we can try and pass until we get, powerful enough industrial group. Of course, we could go for landed voting if we really want to kneecap the landowners. I forgot we do have the Orthodox Church, which is a little bit different than the Catholic Church, in terms of where they're at with things. Can I look at the IG? Yeah, they have Orthodox Patriarchy. But we're also getting a little bit close to where we might want to turn on iron frame building. We'll run a 5k deficit while it's on, but we can always turn it back off. Once steel finishes, we will turn on the steel tools. And then we will be building the inputs for this stuff. And it's nice because the iron and the coal go into the steel, so we can to some degree moderate the inputs of the steel mill. Again, it's going to be the iron and coal go into the entire Ottoman market, so they all get to use it, so it's not very direct, which is one of the reasons I kind of shy away from, building iron and coal for ourselves, because it uses it for everyone. We will switch over, which it does make more money for... We're also going to switch here, because we just want to increase the demand for tools generally. And we will switch over here because it makes more grain. It'll boost our economy a little bit. In theory, you could try and decrease the price of, or keep the price of fertilizer high. And then we'll also do this sub here. That way our tooling workshop becomes a lot more profitable. And once the steel mill finishes, we will start cranking away. I think we can go speed 5. Generally speaking, it's kind of a wait and grow strategy. The next big thing we're going to be doing is turning up the construction a little bit. Or we're just going to actually be watching. Why don't we reform and do some of this action. Industrialists, you've noticed, have gone from being marginalized and barely powerful to now they're 12%. And so we will slap them in the government, which will radicalize a couple, or deloyalize some guys, and then try and go for a little laissez-faire action, which ooh, is this going to radicalize the landowners? Would this radicalize the landowners? No, it just makes them mad. We're actually going to let them chill a little bit, and we can just let the industrialists grow a little bit as well. I do want to not build coal mines until I have the atmospheric engine pumps, so we'll just kick one of these to the top of the queue, and we will switch over to steel tools, which will create a demand for steel. This should auto-fix pretty quickly. Notice how profitable this building is while this is going on, and we have a shortage of coal. Is there no coal in this market? There might not be any coal in the market, but luckily we can just import it from Austria, because Austria always has... Yeah, there is no coal in the market. We can import it from Austria just a little bit, just the tip. And then the coal price comes back down, and this building will become very profitable. It will employ... there's currently a shortage of the steel, so it will take a little bit of adjusting for this to fully kick in. Now, much steel are you? You're using 73 steel. Where's that steel coming from if we're only... Is there other steel in the market? Well, let's take a look. I was unaware that the Ottomans started off making steel, so that's kind of awkward. Ah, they're importing steel. That is not ideal. We do not want them to be importing steel. Unfortunately, we have no control over that, so we will... This is an example of how kind of the external influence of the Ottomans owning our market can kind of, you know, mess with us a little bit. We will just not build any more steel mills and just let that lay, and then we will focus on the tools and the clothes. So, happy day. It just takes a little bit of micromanagement, but the idea is you want to focus on as few as possible so you can get that sweet, sweet throughput bonus from economies of scale, which again is increasingly big bonus. Like, so for example, the second one we built was worth 122%. The third one we built was worth 124%. So each progressive building is going to add more to the production of tools in a way that has increasing marginal returns, meaning each additional one up to the 51st building, once you have all the tech, will do it. For now, it will be just up to the 21st building. When we get Mechanized Workshop, it'll be the 31st building, so we still are going to go Mechanized Workshop relatively early, so we might be doing canneries pretty early here, depending on how we are doing on the front of infrastructure, which I think we're going to be doing just fine, maybe around 20. Yeah, we are around 20. I think we'll take one of these coal mines, considering atmospheric engine pump is going to finish kind of soon, and then we'll put this in, and we'll put it in, it is on auto construct, but we'll just like add some more, and we are starting to get to the point where we can maybe turn on our construction center to iron frame buildings. And so kind of all what you're trying to do is just max construction as much as possible, because what you're going to try and do is you're going to try and construct, you know, up to 51 of all of these buildings, export as needed, as much as you can to other markets. We're really hoping to try and finagle our way into Austria's market. I suppose once this gets really close to the gold reserve, we're going to switch over. We're actually going to switch over now. We're going to do it. It is going to make iron expensive, but luckily we're building an iron mine, and I guess we could perhaps add a second behind this, because atmospheric engine pump is about to finish. And that's going to be the main input for the coal. Now, going to start employing more, and you're going to go also atmospheric engine pump. Again, the big point of atmospheric engine pump is it's making this capitalist owned. And then we don't have to go railways just yet. We're not even particularly close. Let's take a quick look through here and think if there's anything we want. You know, banking's automatically researching. Central archives is maybe like, we could go for empiricism, which unlocks new laws that we would be interested in, namely public schools. This is kind of the only one I think that would be maybe good, but I think I just want to go canneries, mechanized workshops, and get to the sewing machines as quickly as possible, because the sewing machines consume tools. That's why I like the clothes and the tools together, because the textile mills consume tools as part of their input, so you are creating localized demand. We have a nice little circle where, you know, these two help the steel, which helps the tooling workshop, which helps the textile mills. The tooling workshop feeds into the construction center. Eventually, the steel will also feed into the construction center. And so we are trying to build just a few industries tall, but also have them as intertwined as possible so that, you know, boosting one helps boost the others. You know, as we build tools, we make the textile mills more profitable, and then as we build the textile mills more, we make the tools more profitable. And this type of stuff, it is like, they're not completely unrelated industries. It's not like just randomly having, you know, food industry when we have no fish, so we can't affect it, and we're driving up. So food industries use fish and grain, so we're driving up the price of fish and grain when we create this, but we're not profiting off of driving up that price. When we have the textile mill, we're profiting from driving up the price of tools, which they're not using yet. They will be with our next tech. We will just empower the industrialists as much as possible, and we will take a look at their clout, which is hunka increasing. Now, the big reason it's hunka increasing is because almost all of our buildings here are run by these industrialists, just these little three like farm whatevers. So yeah, we are going to. We do have law enforcement, so I think we're going to take a smack at Laissez-faire, which I think will still radicalize them, but it's going to radicalize them no matter what. They're going to be big upset with us. I don't think... Is it enough to radicalize the peasants? No. So I'm not sure we'll get a civil war that'll pop. Actually, I don't even think we could get a civil war because we're a single province, right? So yeah, we're going to try and pass this. If we get this, that'll be really, really, really good for us. Can also go for landed voting at some point. Will this revolution tick to 100? It'll just tick to 81. So we don't have to worry about it. Famous last words. We do not have a legitimate government. Let's see if we can put the unholy alliance... No. So this might be a little early. One of the 1.1 changes is that you cannot, one of the 1.1 changes that is particularly substantive is it auto-pops people out of the government, which makes passing stuff harder, which I think is great, but it does make this a little harder, so maybe we should have waited until we had a little bit more clout on the Industrialists, but I think we'll be fine here. Yeah, I didn't think they could go to a civil war as long as the rural folk do not help them out. We could have gone for agrarianism, which would have been a relatively easy pass, and maybe that would have been better, but that's not going to give much to the investment pool, and we would want to be swapping off of agrarianism pretty quick anyways, so we do have a little bit more authority from somewhere, so we'll put in another tax, and we'll tax the luxury clothes, I guess. That is going to bring us in the most money. We're running a slight deficit, but it's not a big deal. And the tooling workshops are increasing. Now, this got auto-added, this textile mill, and I think we just want more tools. So we're going to swap it over ourselves manually, and also just kind of add a couple of these. We'll set these to auto-expand as well, I guess. That will kind of handle themselves, kind of give us a nice, comfortable Speed 5 experience. This is notably something we have to keep an eye on. It is decreasing. I'm guessing it's decreasing because sorry, we're going to go to Speed 4. It's decreasing because the clout of... well, we're not slowing down industry. The clout of the Industrialists is decreasing. So now there's a shortage of this, so why don't we just kick the one we have to above... I think it's below coal. We'll kick it above the coal. And we'll kick the textile mill to the bottom, and we will... It's important to note we're also importing the iron, we're not importing coal, and so if we want to do this, it is perhaps the case that we should focus less on the iron itself and more on the coal, or focus more on the one we're not importing, or just focus mainly on the tooling workshops, which I think is the thing to do. So we will actually take this off of auto expansion now that I think about it a little bit, but just have this in our back pocket in case you know, things fall through. If we take a look now, we are at a throughput bonus of 25% because we have 5 buildings over the first one, and every one over the first one gives 1%, and so every one of our buildings is building 25% more tools than it otherwise normally would. This is how we are creating an advantage here in terms of what we are doing, and since we are producing more tools, this will actually up the wages, and it will also increase the standard of living, which has been steadily rising, and cause more migration to come. Now that we have this, we can go comfortably over to mechanized workshops. Once we finish mechanized workshops, we will actually, these will become way, way more profitable because we will unlock, not elastics, sewing machines, which produce a lot more clothes per level. Also mechanized looms. And importantly, these create a huge demand for tools, and also are the #1 demanded things from poorer pops, the lower strata. If we go in here, they demand clothes more than anything else. Although furniture too. But we cannot control the inputs for furniture as well. Laissez-faire stalls out a little bit, so we will cancel this, and then of course we will have to wait for the revolution to cool down in order to put the... Oh, the landowners are instantly happier with us. Okay, well... No, we have to wait for the revolution to cool down before we can put them back in, because they're insurrectionary. Ottomans are improving relations. But once they cool down, we will put them back in. Looks like they're cooled down. That's the fastest cooldown ever. Oop. And we will do this so we're more legitimate again. And we just have to wait 11 months, and then we can try and pass it again. This is kind of what you do if you get a bad roll on your law passing and you have a not very high pass chance to begin with. Although we are growing and growing and growing, the clout of the Industrialists. If we take a look at them, this is not the thing I want. This is the thing I want. They are steadily climbing, and this is off the back of almost every building we are building that is owned by them. And the only reason we are able to do this, and we don't need to build a bunch of rural buildings, is because we're inside the Ottomans market. But hey, are you okay? You're not very okay right here. But that's not our problem. We're only losing 607, which is very comfortable. It would be much more comfortable. We'll actually take this off of auto expand for now. It would be much more comfortable experience if they were not at war. We kind of, on some level, hope that Egypt is one of their war goals in this war here. Austria's bankrolling us. That is wild. And they want to give us an obligation, but we're more than happy to join their market, so this is great. Let's take a look at the war goals here. We don't have, yeah, we just have, we were looking to see if releasing us was one of the war goals, but we are more than happy to have Austria like us. This is why we are improving relations to the start, not that this bankroll is predictable. Are we still getting the bankroll? No, they must have canceled it. But, yeah, we will stop building more iron mines. I think that... How many trade routes are we managing? We could also quit this trade route. And maybe that would be good if we want to build up the iron ourselves. This is kind of a little bit of a choice. I'm not sure which one is more efficient. Yeah, I don't know here what the best thing to do is. We're also importing the coal from them. The coal is profitable. And I think we do want to maintain trade with them, and these are the best trades. And this will allow us to primarily focus on the tools. So maybe we shouldn't have done this little flirtation here anyways. It's kind of it's all a bit close, but the idea of, you know, having all these dependent industries together is mainly what we want to go for. Again, the long-term strategy is going into the Cultures tab and founding Romania. Notably, we can do this without having to fight Austria, even though Austria has a couple of these territories from Romania, by taking over Moldova, which hopefully, let's see if they're still cordial. They are still cordial. Because they are trying to improve relations with us as we are damaging with them. How about you, Serbia? You are cold. Can we declare war on you? No, we cannot. So we cannot declare wars on other protectorates of our overlord. So we really just have to wait and try and build up as much as possible. And this is, you know, it's a patient sort of waiting game. I suppose it's a speed 5 kind of game. It's very similar to my Tunis run, where you just build tall, except for Tunis is a little bit better positioned for like importing and exporting, but doesn't have iron and coal, which would be really nice. But yeah, just build really tall, encourage manufacturing in the capital. This is the strategy here. We will up the speed again. And let's take a look at our journal entries, I suppose. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Looks like they white pieced. Oh no, wait. They took some sand. Yikes! Expect the Iraqi revolution here in a second. Yeah, so if we stop building these, the trade routes with Austria will get more profitable, so we're gonna stop. I think we already took, yeah, it off auto expand. We took these off auto expand, and so we're all in on the tools for now. Let's actually... The thing is the textile mills will eventually become quite profitable once we finish this tech, so I guess we're all in, yeah, on the tools for now. And you cannot find employment. Does it need to be slaves? Can I not find regular workers? Interesting. But I think it might have been 11 months now, so we'll... Nope, it hasn't. We could swap for interventionalism, but I don't want to get the negative tick from the landowner. Well, the landowners are going to be super pissed no matter what. So... maybe it's good to just swap back and forth, because they're going to be really angry no matter what we do. And this won't radicalize them, so this will be easier to get... Let's try and get this through. We'll take the first tick of it, and then if it doesn't pass, we will cancel it and then switch to Laissez-faire. Laissez-faire gives us basically... It will give us basically twice as much money to the investment pool contribution. And this is kind of what I'm playing towards, at least in this session, to kind of illustrate how you're able to build really tall here. We are encountering labor problems. We still have peasants, so I'm not sure why that is exactly. It's because we need slaves, I suppose. So we could try and get rid of slavery, maybe. I wonder if we can't... I don't think we can make a trade agreement with Austria while we are still independent. Public schools is unlocked, which is another law that we would generally kind of like. I suppose we might go straight for public schools if we enact interventionalism here. And these are just super, super profitable. And so this balance, roughly speaking, if you get laissez-faire, half this balance will be what's transferred to your investment pool contribution. Rousing speech. I think we want the traction, because this isn't even our... This is not our primary go here. Well, let's do this, because we can actually keep the... Since they're not mad, they'll stay in government, and even though we're unacceptable, laws pass a lot faster with them in government here, like this. And we could actually become contested if we add the Intelligentsia here, so let's do that. Yeah, these buildings primarily owned by Intelligentsia and Industrialists. Well, really primarily the Industrialists, but we also want to... One of the problems with state religion is if we build universities, they don't empower the Intelligentsia, they empower... you know, the Orthodox Church, because we have state religion. So, just kind of something to watch out for. We are making hand over fist, so we're going to do a little bit of this action and increase our construction. Oh man, we'll take the enactment chance. We'll leapfrog it in. Laissez-faire would have been better. But I think if we just go traditionalism immediately, and then we can't do private schools, we can't do public schools until we get rid of state religion. I think we'll go this into total separation, and then come back to laissez-faire in terms of how we're passing laws. This way we can keep this like contested government. We might even go switch away to... we might also switch to, what is it, landed voting, which they won't oppose, and it'll make, or sorry, the landowners will not oppose landed voting, and if we do this, if we do landed voting, then it'll be easier to pass stuff with the landowners out of government. Sorry, we just had a thing, so we're going to now switch over to railways. And if we were more in the mining, we would go nitroglycerin, but we are not. And perhaps we should be, but I think we're going to continue on this track for now. Yeah, so you see that if you were watching, or you just like rewind a few seconds, it was super profitable, and then it collapsed. That was because the trade route level increased somewhere. And so... keeping in mind these trade route levels is important. I forgot we can switch this over. Now we have an interventionalism, and look at this. The transfer is huge. Now, it's really 3k less than it looks, but this is all due to these industrial buildings and these buildings being super profitable, because these are also privately owned as well. And so now we're making a ton of money, and so we are going to switch over this PM to sewing machines, which, look, consumes tools, more fabric, and more dye, and makes more clothes. And we will switch over to mechanized looms as well, which uses more tools and less laborers. because labor is going to start getting expensive. And then once this auto adjusts, we will see the clothes become super profitable. And so now we are going to be back on the clothes route as well. And all of these are nice and profitable, which means we're making a ton of money, which means we get to increase my favorite thing here. And we're going to increase it by quite a bit. And we get crystal glass, but we don't have any glassworks, and we got chemical bleaching coming up. Now, we might want to increase the levels of this to decrease the volatility somewhat, but I think we can just afford to crank through here and just hope we are able to maintain trade routes with Austria. We can even make new trade routes with Russia, but this is kind of our only two options. We are landlocked, you know, there are problems, we can't declare interest elsewhere. You know, this is a small one-state run, but it is very playable on the back of we can get this huge throughput bonus, which makes this building really profitable. And the building being really profitable means we get a huge investment pool transfer. This is 22k. Now, it's really 15k smaller because we're decreasing the investment pool contribution, so we don't want to build too much more construction. But this is now only minus 3k, and we're making 6k. We can afford to expand oh, wait. I was going to say we can afford to expand construction even more. We could not. But why don't we just, you know... And we'll do some of this. Set you to auto-expand as well. And just these three will crank up pretty well. In theory, it's better to micromanage than to set to auto-expand, but you really don't want to accidentally not be building. If we take a look here, the amount that we are really making is equal to this number plus the investment pool change, and so you noticed it kicked in and we are hemorrhaging 10k. I think this will be fine for a while. Construction goods are expensive, so something we could do is we could build just iron and set this to auto-expand. Because even though we're importing it, we're going to just rely on the import route. We're actually going to check Austria's market. If Austria's iron is a little... Austria's iron is super expensive, so we will actually kick this up because a majority of our construction cost is in the iron. Let's see if we can get an iron route, a route that's more profitable than theirs. The coal route's just fine. Oop, not that button. Might have to pause, I didn't... No, we can't get a more profitable one from Russia. We'll just build a little iron. Now the problem is this iron supplies the entire Ottoman's market, so building this is not going to have as profound an effect as we'd like, and it looks like we just had a trade route increase somewhere, and so, yikes. This is not going to be very profitable. I shouldn't have done this here, but that's okay. It's not too big a deal. Atmospheric engine gets completed. I suppose that's one good reason for doing that, because we can get railways faster. So I guess either way, what you want to do is you want to build up to level 3 in a mine, because I forgot about this event for the atmospheric engine pump. So now we get rails, and let's take a look here. We are almost at the cap here, and so we will actually build a rail and kick it to the front of the queue, and then put a couple... Yeah, we want the rail to finish, so we won't be running a problem. And now we have like 3 industries, right? We have the textile mills, we have what's the other one? We have the tools, and we have the steel. If you'll notice, none of these pertain to that directly, although nitroglycerin does in a peripheral way because it helps the mines. So nitroglycerin would be okay. So here, what we can do is we can grab all of these. You know, we could go Bessemer process. I guess it's Bessemer process, but Bessemer process is generally not very profitable, so we don't want to do it unless it's profitable. So here, at this point, we might want to switch to society tech until some of these level 2s nat spread to us. Once all the level 2s have gotten, we will want to pick up shift work, or once we have buildings over level 21, this is kind of when the shift work is going to kick in, or sorry, over 31, because this gives plus 10 on economies of scale cap, this gives plus 20 for a total of 50 potential, but so now we want to kind of turn around and, you know, do some of this stuff, like research egalitarianism so we can get public schools, modern sewage so we don't have to build as many railroads. These types of things are going to be good. So we'll go egalitarianism, maybe central archives. And we will take a look at our laws. Playing a little fast and loose with this 5-speed, but this is kind of how things go. And so, as I had mentioned earlier, switching over to landed voting would help a little bit for when we want to try and switch laissez-faire. And so maybe we'll take a look at that. We also want to get rid of state religion, but landed voting, I think, well, it will give more power to the clergy. So we could go for total separation right now. I'm a little keen on getting to laissez-faire, though. So why don't we do landed voting? Actually, oligarchy is interesting. Don't have a problem with the oligarchy. The oligarchy also maintains a lot of authority. Generally, I've been pretty impressed with oligarchy as its ability to, you know, keep the capitalists quite strong. And I think this will do more to make the capitalists strong than the other one, even though the pass rate is a little bit worse and they do oppose it. We will do that, which will make them a little bit upset. Let's just make sure they're not radicalizing. They're not, they're just unhappy. It do be like that sometimes. If we take a look at the profitability, this is through the roof once we get, you know, mechanized workshops, I think was the name of the tech. Let's take a look. Yeah, once you get mechanized workshops, so tools in general are going to be the most profitable until you get mechanized workshops, and then once you get mechanized workshops, it switches over to clothes. But the tooling workshops feed in, and so this is kind of like my favorite build tall like trio, or this pair plus steel, just to support like kind of the base level. I suppose you could hold off for like motor industries. We will have to, we probably don't have any motors in our market, so we will actually put one of these at the top of the queue. And notice the steel fuels the motor industries, and so we are having some like vertical help. Yikes. Generally the rails, there's no rail for that one. The rails will make buildings less profitable. Ooh, can we switch this over to this or this? Nope, we can't. They just want just the food. Nice. We have built out of our thing. Our deficit, this is off the back of the investment pool transfer, and decreasing the price of iron is another big one. The decrease in price of iron, I'm guessing, is entirely based on the trade route. Or maybe... yeah, so if you look, the trade route is level 9, so it's importing 270 iron. So it's importing the inputs so we don't have to worry about them, and we can still keep the inputs low. And notably, this takes no convoys because we're adjacent to Austria. So Wallachia specifically actually has a nice situation in that it's adjacent to Austria. And we are also importing coal, and the Wallachian route is 150 units of coal. And so these buildings will become insanely unprofitable every single time it takes a jump to the next level on that. But I think we can up the speed a little bit and try and, you know, just show off a little bit once we get to laissez-faire. This is starting to come up. Now, it's very important to emphasize, all these are insanely profitable right now. If we build more construction and these become less profitable, we are going to run a huge deficit. So I want to wait until maybe there's like a third and a 3K, a third of our gold reserves are reserved, and there's like a 3K surplus, because something like this can happen where you just have this wild swing. It's not the worst if you start running into debt, because what happens is you'll be paying out more. The interest payments go to your pops that own buildings anyways, and so this is not a terrible thing. What must have happened is we have oligarchy. Perfect. What must have happened is the steel mills became way less profitable, and I'm guessing this is because the trade route level increased on the steel. I believe there's a steel trade route. Ottomans are exporting. No! This is bad. It's bad that they are exporting. What is this about? Ah, so this is what tanked our industry. Now exporting that. We do have to also take one of these off. But yeah, so if we take a look, I think this just spiked up, and that's why we're running a problem, because someone did something a little naughty with our trade route. The Ottomans started exporting. Does this instantly take us down to minimum level? Because we were importing a ton from them, right? I just explained it. And then the Ottomans started exporting to Austria. The same good. I'm not sure exactly what that turnabout is about. Maybe Austria just had a dramatic change in the price, and so it killed our import route? That must have been what it was, and then Ottomans put in an import route? I mean, this is going to make these buildings profitable, but... So we have some resiliency there, and we also must have good enough prices that we can export. I think we are the only ones creating a demand for engines in the market, so these are not going to be very profitable, at least right now. Each level of railways is going to increase our infrastructure by, let's take a look here, 20. I think that we maybe want to do wooden passenger cranes. It makes these more profitable, but not quite yet. Now, it's important, once you have railways, you can watch this number for when it says subsidies. When it has subsidies, that means this building isn't profitable enough for it to employ on its own, and so what you want to do is you want to turn on various PMs. Sorry, industrial boom. Been waiting for this event. Big money. So, once you have... What is it? I lost my train of thought. Ah, yes. So once you can turn on in the rural, not too many, but you can turn on rail transportation, which will increase the price of transportation, which will make the building more money, so you will have to pay less on a subsidy. Now let's take a look here. I think we can turn on the streetlights, and we can turn on the market squares. It's not profitable, so we will just chill for now on that. Completely forgot about that, but again, we're just trying to build really, really tall, not wide, to abuse the economies of scale throughput bonus. It's beautiful. So productive. Now, I believe the first number is productivity. It is the most productive textile mill in the world, so it has got the best throughput bonus. And the second one is, I believe the profitability is the earnings minus the wages, which is less profitable than some because there's a lot of laborers, or the labor of whatever other building it is cheaper. And so now the iron mines are not doing too well because iron is not really expensive, or because this is super expensive. Alright, we'll add another one of those. Raising concerns. The Industrialists should be super happy with us. I forgot we passed a law. Yeah, Laissez-faire would be a little bit easy to pass. We could even go after monarchy if we really wanted to, but I think we want to go laissez-faire mainly to show off kind of how much money you can make off of it. But this is volatile money because it is very, and also our costs are very volatile based on just, for the most part, most of it is the price of iron here. Is the majority of where the payment goes. You can see it's 8.9k versus 4.5, 2.6, 2. And so, and notably, we are depressing the price of this. So, there's some good stuff in there. We will take a tick of laissez-faire, and if it's really bad, we will swap over to getting rid of state religion, and we'll just kind of oscillate as need be. You know, just trying to get the laws in pace that are going to be good. We can also go for per capita taxation, which would pay 5k more, and is actually probably the easier area of ingress. These are disallowed by agrarianism, or we can wait for egalitarianism, which we're going for, and go for proportional taxation, which is better. So I guess that's what we'll do. Once we get egalitarianism, we will pull off our thing and go for proportional taxation, because it's going to be much easier to pass than laissez-faire. We're just trying to set up all of these things for our build tall plan. Now, all of this is very volatilely dependent on staying in the Ottoman's market. This is important to emphasize. If we get booted out of the market, we really need to try and get into Austria's market or into Russia's market, which I don't think we're adjacent to, so I don't think we can. Because if we look here, there's no border. The only reason we have access to Russia's market is it's through Moldova. So in theory, if we took Moldova, we could. The boom booms are now turned on. I do not think there's any explosives in our market, so I don't think we can turn on this PM. We could build the explosives ourselves. The trash man is here to pick up the trash. They're not taking me, though. Okay. So yeah, we could build the thing ourselves, but I think we're just not gonna worry about it. The chemical plant, and we will use the current PMs. Alternatively, we can just turn them on and import, but we are running out of bureaucracy as well. And I think I'd rather... It's only costs us like 10 bureaucracy. It costs us 20 bureaucracy for an import route, and it only costs us like 10 for an institution. So I'm kind of less keen on importing explosives just to make our mines a little bit more profitable. And so this is probably where you have to like kind of make a bit of a choice, whether you're going to build the mines yourself. Well, we love the migration attraction, because this is going to make our labor cheaper. And so I think you have to decide, because these are still owned by capitalists, right? Whether or not you're going to build a lot of mines or not a lot of mines, and then that will inform your strategy as in terms of if you're going to import the boom booms. I guess we could import them and then stop importing them later and switch back the PMs. We get laissez-faire. Very luck, big luck, much excite. So expect this number to go up quite a bit. It's already up, yep. Because the investment pool transfer, most of it is coming from the Industrialists, and so we will also... I think we have time to get one tick in. Getting rid of state religion. In the politics. And this is mainly because we want public schools, and we want to promote migration to our place, which, in order to do, we will need to do that. We could also try and open the borders. As long as we have a higher standard of living than the Ottomans, this will attract pops. I think I actually like opening borders more, especially because it's pretty well supported. And then we will switch the tax methods. Once we have the tax methods, we'll... Yeah, look at this. Now we'll just let this chill for a little bit, because again, high volatility, we want to be running maybe a quarter to a third of the bar as surplus, and then we will build more construction into it. Notably, we're going to get rid of the 700 interest. And then we'll just add a few of these to queue based on profitability. Engine's not very profitable at all. Are we getting close to the cap? Getting a little close. So we will put a railway behind the two clothing industries. So that way we won't run a penalty. Or the coal can finish as well. And now that we've handled that, a lot of this is just passing laws and building up, because we're not going to have like a military to really do anything, and we're going to be pretty... I mean, we could declare war on our overlord, but we are not particularly close to that sort of thing. I suppose we could start damaging relations, but we don't want them to annex us either. And so we want to get a good amount of strength first before we go for that move. I'm not sure exactly the best way to make the move. Usually the Ottomans are pretty good at imploding themselves. Once they get the Sick Man of Europe event, they become a lot weaker as well. And I don't think they have it yet in 49. You know, it's going to be a little bit of a slower thing, and we are very quickly making a ton of money, and this is because laissez-faire. And we'll get like another 7 or 8k. Now if we take a look here, the Ottomans are 11.1 or 0.2 standard living, and we're 14.5, so we will attract pops from the Ottoman Empire but they will be discriminated, so they will attract less. This is kind of one of the big reasons we want to get rid of state religion, so that we can siphon off the Ottomans' pops. This is a big advantage. I forgot to mention this more at the start. This is a big advantage of being inside someone else's market, is you can siphon off pops from everyone in the market, and so it's a good way to get more pops, which reduces the price of labor, which makes the buildings more profitable, which increases the investment pool contribution. Whoa! This will go to 77. I guess we'll take our, We have to watch this carefully, but we will try and... We will take one tick of this, and then we will switch to trying to get a different law, namely what egalitarianism just unlocked, and I think we'll take Central Archives. Well, actually, we don't have a single government admin building. We could take Central Banking, which would be okay. Modern Sewage, I think, might be the best. Or we could start... No, we're going to start progressing towards getting some of the later PMs here. Bessemer process is already not spreading. I don't think we'll take a chip off Bessemer process. I think that, well, steel railway cars might be the way to go first, and then I guess we would want reinforced concrete, maybe? So we want to research one of the level 2 ones to make the level 3 tech easier. I guess we'll go water tube boiler because it goes into something else. This revolution might be one we have to back down off of. We have to watch it carefully. I think if this gets too high, we will come down off this. I think we're actually just going to take one tick at enacting total separation, so it's not going to matter, because the tax law is much more important. But the total separation will help us attract more pops in terms of migration, which will help make... We need more pops to do the labor. And, we have to see who Alexander, this guy is. Oh, he's the Landowners? So this will increase the chance, the pass chance, by quite a lot. So we will actually stick with this, because the nihilist ideology makes you support total separation, and this is on the landowner. It is on our landowner guy. So if we take a look, and that is a bigger bump for us than the other one. He is... I'm going to take a pause because I'm not looking over there. Well, he's no longer jingoist? Wait, or a leader's nihilist? Oh, then we might have made a mistake here? I thought it said the IG leader. Okay. But we're gonna keep watching this. This is ticking relatively quickly. And it's kind of petering out here a little bit. We do have a bunch of excess infrastructure. We're going to add a couple more of these at the back. And steel is starting to become nice and profitable again, so we'll increase some of that. I guess we'll put it up there. We'll put one of these at the top of the queue. And something like this. Again, a big part of why steel is becoming expensive is because we are pushing the demand for steel by having so many tooling workshops that build it. We get total separation here, and now we can go public schools if we want. We can also go, the more important one to go is per capita taxation here. Well, actually, why can't we go proportional? It's just the petite bourgeoisie and the armed forces, and this is, well, per capita is going to be easy to pass. We would prefer proportional. But then we would have to, well, we could shuffle around our government. Let's take a look at what happens if we try and... The problem is the landowners are needed in there. And if we put in them in the petite bourgeoisie, not very legitimate. So... we might have to just slough off monarchy at this point, but a lot of people don't like that. So, a little bit of a decision here. I think we could just go for per capita because it's easier. And notably, we have a large surplus, and we've built up to around a quarter to a third. So we are going to build up our construction now to make use of that. We should build maybe 2 will do it for now. Especially because we have this authority. He's less popular because he's a nihilist, so we actually want to remove a couple of these. Again, we're not making a whole bunch of money off of those. We'll just remove all of them. What we are making money off of is the investment pool contribution, so we will do that. And we will go for per capita taxation, which also will make us more money. It's based on population, and we will be attracting a lot more pops here. And our buildings are not even very, very, very profitable anymore, so let's take a look. Let's take a pause and take a look, because I think we've reached a critical threshold here, where, let's also maybe build a government admin in here, where these are no longer in the green, which is kind of just an easy heuristic. I think they're in the green whenever they're over 20 in terms of profitability, and what are you having an input shortage of? Silk. Okay, so we might want to, if we take a look, we might want to export some of the goods we are making. Now, if we export tools, well, tools are already being exported. Oh, no, wait. Yeah, tools are being exported a lot to the Russian market, so we don't want to try and export more because it's not going to be that effective. You know, each additional export route you make is going to make the last one less profitable. We are exporting engines as well, which is nice, I think, and we are importing silk. And we're importing from the Austrians. It's not our route, but so I guess we're kind of okay with our routes now. We are running this big deficit now. Again, volatility is definitely a major thing. Hopefully our construction good cost decreases as a trade route increases, which looks like is the case. It's a little uncomfortable and spooky because each additional construction center adds so much construction relative to the size of the economy. Once we start building up more railways, this will be a lot better here. And also, a lot of the later tech requires motors, so eventually I feel like you have to go for motors anyways. So I don't hate it adding to our our core 3, but mainly focusing on these 2. And what is this? Discord with the... Well, I don't really want to empower the petite bourgeoisie, so I'll take the enactment chance. And things have become nice and stabilized. I think that it is largely... Yeah, the construction goods, notice they spiked when we added the construction centers, and then they came down because a trade route kind of stabilized. Notably, we are not building the iron ourselves, and they wouldn't be very profitable, which is why it's kind of better to build the finished goods than this, if you're importing the iron, unless you were just building the iron itself, but then you have to create a demand for the iron. No, I don't think this is the way you build tall. I think you do it by, focusing on these, trying to get the big economy of scale, throughput bonuses, and as well as encouraging manufacturing, because you're just one state, so encouraging manufacturing in all of your states when you are one state is really, really cheap. And so the edicts are much more powerful the smaller you are. And we got another clothier. Also, we can export clothing, is another thing, but our clothing is not even cheap in the market. We now have per capita taxation, which should, the next Monday we have, should improve things quite a bit for us. We will also take a look at we have total separation, so now we can go public schools. Notably, you need either, you cannot be state religion and have public schools. You need either freedom of conscience or total separation. That's why we went total separation, so we could get the schools. Because we are interested in getting more tech. And so we will also add a few unis. Do we still have the opportunity? I don't think, no, we can't get the uni thing, but we'll just build one uni. And one government admin, because we want to be able to run more trade routes and also add, what is it? Do we even have full tax capacity? We do. Revolution brewing, you don't say. So we want to be able to run more trade routes and also add institutions. We're adding an institution now that costs 10, so we just want to have the ability to dynamically respond when things go a little crazy, because nothing's gone too crazy in this run, but stuff can go crazy with this type of strategy, if we get booted out of the Ottomans market. Let's take a look at the war goals. They are winning, and it's just, looks like it's a white piece. Interesting. I'm going to take a look here at the Ottomans and see who their rivals are. Russia. And we will try and improve relations with Russia as well now. And we did unlock Bessemer process, but I am guessing that it's... Oh, it is profitable, so we will swap over to Bessemer process. And instantly you have a shortage of something. What is it of? Coal. We are importing coal. We do have a trade route. I do think we can... The trade route will just increase and adjust. What happened there? So it's just going to increase in levels, and that'll be fine. And notably, we are now making a lot of money now that we are making a lot more in taxes. I think if we take a look here, yeah, it spikes up once we get the thing. And so we can afford to add more construction. Each construction sector is going to be around 5k to support. So very tempting to add 2 here and just try and build into the deficit. So that's what I think I'm going to do. Very tempting to add 3 here and to build into the deficit. No, I'm just going to add 2. And again, a lot of this is on the back of the profitability of our buildings. This is 26, which is fairly good. This is 40, which is huge. Clothes somehow became just wildly expensive. Oh, I guess they've been slowly creeping up. And so we are supplying most of the clothes here. We will increase this a bit more. And we can also... Condensing engine pump. Oh, I forgot condensing engine pump was on this PM. So that's definitely the one to go, was the water tube boiler. Because now... We may not be able to turn on the boom booms. Because, actually, we could import... Now that we finished the government sector, we can afford to import that. And we can switch to condensing pump engine as well. So this should make these a little bit more profitable. These, of course, will create demand for boom booms, which there's currently no demand in the market. We will have to... There we go. New import routes. Austria, perfect. Our very best friend. We might have to build one chem plant ourselves. That's kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. I suppose we should have just turned on one of these and not the other to the boom booms. We'll just manually drilling this, and because this one's not very profitable anyways. And notice we are starting to have labor problems. This is why we want to, which drives up standard of living, which allows us to siphon off more pops, which once we have, when we have no migration controls, will, you know, our population should increase much quicker when we have high SOL. But yeah, the competition for labor is what drives the SOL up. And so, I think I'm okay with getting the Intelligentsia a little more powerful. We're going to add a little bit to government costs with this uni, but we are also... Oop, I forgot we want to switch over to... Oop. I think we want to... Or might auto-switch in our urban centers to, yeah, free churches, which is the secular one. Everything's secular, because we have separation. Got it. We do want to get rid of hereditary bureaucrats, and we are running a big surplus, but that surplus is because we aren't using all the construction available. So we'll up this a little bit, and I think we switch this over to boom booms now that the import route's starting to go. And the import route should adjust. Unless they don't have enough to export. Which might be the case. I think we just keep empowering the industrialists here. Not entirely sure. We are making a lot of money. So, we again will come back and yeah, so we are able to support that many boom booms. Running an engine shortage, but why are you... Then you should be employing, right? We could probably turn on water tube boilers in some of these areas, because the labor is expensive here. So I guess we will do that. Which, of course, should push down our standard, or it might push down our standard of living. I'm not sure exactly. This is kind of a big swap on that. I don't think we have enough coal in the market. Did we build over? We did not build over yet, but we will be. And then we can... It's probably too much construction. Next one, but we'll build into it. Famous last words, that is too much construction. That is definitely too much. We get the university finished. Huzzah. If we need more government administration, we can always turn on filing cabinets. So now we have a little bit of a throttle here. And what is not very profitable, and can we export it? Having labor problems here, which is really driving up standard of living because they're competing for the labor, so we should be getting a lot of migration from the Turks. I do think we have a little bit of a repressive law in our national supremacy, so we will probably have to pull this down towards multiculturalism, if not going for multiculturalism instantly. We will see exactly, yeah. Pain. We will deal with this pain for a little bit. Let's see if the construction goods themselves are expensive, and maybe that's something we can work on. It's probably not really something we can work on. Yeah. Nope, we're just gonna have to suffer, or delete some of these construction centers, or move down the building. I definitely overbuilt a little bit here, but, you know, it is what it is. Oh, the investment pool transfer is like nothing. This is what happened. Yeah, we definitely need... We are starting to have... The labor is becoming really expensive, which is making the buildings less profitable, which is decreasing the investment pool transfer. We have schools, so we will switch... Maybe we will ban slavery here, because that actually is easy to push through, but we do want to switch this citizenship law to multiculturalism. The Intelligentsia, are they not in government, my guy? You are in government. Also, if we go away from monarchy, we should be able to, Well, let's get rid of slave trade. Yeah, this is a lot to eat. I definitely went... Well... This is what I was saying with, like, in regards to the volatility on this. We did switch to all the labor-saving PMs, so that is 1+. You know, a lot of these buildings are getting profitable again. You notice it's swinging from, like, 40k negative to, like, 20k negative. So I just overbuilt... Oh, it's because we're not constructing well. Of course, the standard of living shooting up is going to attract people, so it will have a lagging positive effect. I think we can switch to rail transportation here, and here, to make it require less laborers. And I think we just keep on keeping on, you know, building these up, branching out, railroad boom. Could go for the throughput, but let's take the railway cars. Are we over? Yeah, that's why they're not profitable as well. You kind of have to keep a good eye on this. Going speed 4 or 5 is not very conducive to that, but that is important for, you know, making sure because this is just hemorrhaging market access, and so this is really bad to have this infrastructure, and so you have to build your rails ahead of time, but once they start coming in and finishing, which this one's about to finish, it'll be good. Why don't we, each one gives 20, and this is around 18, so why don't we just put another railway down at the back of this queue? That way it'll be ready for it. Now, there is an engine shortage, but this industry can employ, so we'll also just put one of these at the back, I suppose. And again, the problem now is employment. which drives this up way, way high. Government wages are 25k. Can we do something about this? Now, importantly, we can just up the tax level a little bit. And it will do nothing, because almost everything is investment pool contribution. Yikes. Alright, we're going to admit defeat and decrease this by 1. And how do we make these buildings more profitable? The problem is we need to bring down the price of labor, which is not straightforward. We're starting to accrue a lot of interest. We need to get this number back up to like 18k or whatever. Why don't we swap this back to wooden? Because I'd rather not destroy the construction center, so we'll do that. And this will make this a lot cheaper for a little bit, but we will want to swap this back up, probably once we are more solvent, I guess. Okay. Now, proportional taxation is definitely something we would want to pass. Kind of hard to get it through right now. Did we get a positive tick here on slavery banned? Very tempted to go after the presidential republic here. Yeah, these buildings are going to be more profitable because we are paying them the interest. And one of the reasons that we are losing so much money, just to make this clear why this is happening, government wages have gotten extremely high. Government wages track with wages of other buildings. And so when the general standard of living rises, the government wages rise. So we had a massive spike in government wage cost. And so if we take a look, we can see that massive spike over to the left. And so this is why we suddenly started running a whole big negative. Let's see if we can swap over to public trains here. No, we can't. Oh, market squares, no. And so this is why we suddenly started running a massive deficit. Again, very volatile, but we will get through this. And then we'll probably call it a run once we get through this here. Let's see, we have to get baking powder, and then we can research a text. So maybe we just want to research the text straight away. Steam Donkey would be a little nice. It is a labor-saving PM. Are we at 31 in anything? I don't think we're any close. Yeah, we're not. So we can go for steel railway cars. That will make it so we have to pay a lot less in subsidies. I don't think we're paying subsidies at this point. Oh, we are paying a little bit in subsidies. That's better sooner than later. When we implement that, we will want to overbuild on rails a little bit. Gonna want to be overbuilt. Ooh, we are really not legitimate. Well, let's take a look at that. We want this guy in, yeah. But you're angry with us. Okay, fair enough. Why don't we set this aside for another time then? Well, let's take another tick. We'd like to get rid of slavery. I think that is one of the things that's crimping us up. Yeah, we don't want this number to have risen so fast. We want it to rise a little bit and then pull in migration. Although you'll notice the migration is occurring. And people are starting to come to fill in the jobs, and they are coming from the Ottoman Empire's market. So we're siphoning off pops from them now. Quite a lot. Yeah. Why don't we up this a little bit more? Well, I know why, because it's going to increase the amount we need to pay in subsidies. Okay. If we turn this on... See, I wish we could just turn half of this on, but what it'll do is it'll make transportation more expensive, and it will decrease the amount of laborers, but make this less profitable. We're gonna do this. And so we were paying like, we're paying like 2.5k in subsidies. As we turn that on, it should get rid of the subsidy cost. As we get into the next Monday. No? Why not? Huh, interesting. Yeah. We are approaching a point where we might need to turn off construction. Let's see, can we use labor-saving PMs anywhere here? No, Steam Donkey would be okay. This could probably switch. Nope, still can't switch over. I think we are going to... This is going to be our queue. And then we will sit with that for a while. Let's take a look at journal entries. We're not going to get a level 5 uni. Oh, this can't progress, I guess. Okay, so we're going to cancel it. Because it hasn't been progressing. And we will put them back in government so we can do stuff. They have to not be pissed. Yep, they're not pissed now. Interesting. So, we really need to get rid of monarchy, but as soon as we try and pass it, won't we have the same problem? Orthodox Church is big mad at us. Let's see if that's something that's decaying. Yeah, so this will decay. Once this decays, then I think we go after monarchy. If we cancel construction, we'll be down to here, so that's fine. It's very fine. As long as this number's white, and not red, it's generally kind of okay. This clothing thing is so efficient, just cranking out a ton of clothes, which is why we have this stupidly high standard of living, which, also clothes being cheap. Clothes aren't even cheap in the market. What the heck? Services are expensive as well. We are contributing to services. Yeah, Ottomans, I blame the market. But this is cranking up too. We will siphon off pups. I think that, actually, maybe, let's take a look if we can get rid of national supremacy. This won't make them too mad, but let's get rid of let's go racial segregation. Just to try and increase the rate at which pops can come to us. This is already starting to become a really long video, though. I wanted to kind of get to a certain point that felt pretty good, because I think that I think I'm just doing starting steps. I don't think I'm going to continue on this run. But, so let's try and get in it. What is your problem? You need transportation. There's a shortage. Got it. So I guess we will build that. Yeah, we will build the railway first, I suppose. That's not going to matter. Yeah. Someone wants to go restore no schools. Come on. We do want to go to proportional taxation, but their group's not strong enough yet. And now we have a problem. Because it's red. So we might have to pull some of this up. Some of this down. How much are we paying in interest? Quite a bit. So we have a pretty big industrial base, though, to just work off of. And we'll have some more transport. We could actually just turn off this, I think. I think this is the problem. Here, it's making these buildings not profitable because the inputs. Yep, okay, we're in good shape. This may look like not good shape, but it's fine. We just overbuilt construction a little bit. Maybe we should have taken the other side of that, I'm not sure. Okay, racial segregation, perfect. We of course are now running a little bit of an authority deficit. It's not the worst thing ever. Oh, but we only have... What all is causing this? Poor popularity. Mass comms. Oh, we can stop it bolstering some of these guys now. They're sufficiently powerful, so we're going to stop bolstering both of them, and then we can put in a couple more consumption taxes on, like, services. And we're doing fine. Fine, we're fine. We can actually keep building, but I think I want to... Well, yeah, we'll keep building, but I do want to get out from under this a little bit. So we will not switch back on the iron frame building. Okay. Yeah, because we're still not... We're not, like, out of the woods here. Because the temporary national transfers is really, really small right now. And we need to get this bigger. We need to make our buildings more profitable. But in order to do that, yikes, we need this to go down. And a big part of our expense is the government wages because this is so high. So, a little bit of pain on this front. We also do have an unacceptable government. I think we can switch the laws. Appointed bureaucrats would be a little bit better, I believe. So let's try and switch over to that. The landowner doesn't oppose it, so he must be a Republican. No, he's a jingoist. Okay, interesting. Why are you okay with Opium? Oh, they must have zero clout. Yeah, they have 3% clout. They'd be marginalized. Alright. Let's increase this. We're gonna increase it all the way, actually. And we will get ourselves out from under this interest. Landowners have gotten super, super weak. Again, just trying to emphasize, it's because they only have 3 buildings, and the buildings aren't even that profitable. That's really kind of pushing that quite a bit. Serbia started to improve relations. We do not have good relations with them. We're amicable and amicable here. We could maybe start damaging relations. This would, I wonder what the... How close they are to accepting. Prince intervenes. His will be done. I think Intelligentsia are just really happy with us right now anyways, so we'll just take that down. Again, investment pool transfer has trickled down to very little because of the high labor, which is pulling more people into our place. So the problem is solving itself. There's just a lagging effect here where, you know, we are very small, so a lot of the effects are much more pronounced. We will add another tooling workshop at the back of this because they are the more profitable one. A couple of them. And it looks like we're kind of gaining money. 25k is a lot. What has happened? Something horrible has happened. We got a monthly price report, so it looks like we have been released from our bounds. So we will pause construction. And we will try and get into Austria's market here. Please let us in. Austria accepts, and now we are making great amounts of money. I'm not sure exactly what jumped us out. Exactly, here. We might have gotten too big. I don't think that's what happened. I'm not sure exactly how that mechanic works, or if they just decided they had enough of us. We will resume construction. Well, maybe we'll keep it paused and let this tick down, because we're running quite a bit of debt here. But now we can make new trade routes, and we need to solve our inputs a little bit. So we will import dyes from the Prussians. And silk from someone, because we are consuming a lot of this in our... And previously we were importing coal and iron from the Austrians, so their prices should be good enough. So we'll take a look here. That should make these kick up quite a bit. And tools, do you have expensive inputs? And now these are really profitable, so I guess I will put a couple of those in the queue and kick them to the top. Once the routes start to adjust, it will be helpful. And now that we are inside of the market here, we could, I think, well, why can't we make a Diplo play against them? Let's take a look at our own thing. We are in a customs union. It must be because we have a truce. We are no longer a subject. But we cannot engage in any Diplo plays. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here. I think we have, let's see how much excess infrastructure we have if we can turn this on. We have, was this 23? And if we turn this on, minus 20 infrastructure, so that'll be fine. Which decreases the subsidy we have to pay, which is what we were looking for. And now, modern sewage will help out a little bit, because we will have an infrastructure problem once we start constructing again, which is not quite yet. I think we can afford to take the bureaucracy hit, because we have so much of it. And I wish we could turn on just a percentage of our construction, not all of it. But this should clear out pretty quick. We have, well, maybe not as quick as we would like. And why aren't you profitable? Oh, you're getting there. Okay. Let's take a look at our pop situation. We will be siphoning off pops from Austria now, who is quite a bit closer to us in terms of culture, I think, is how that works. Check this, but yeah, we do want to try and work down racial segregation to multiculturalism in order to siphon off as much pops as possible. What tech do we need? There's probably some, we need to ban slavery. It's not currently banned, and that's the problem. Okay. If we do it, what had happened is the landowners got upset, naturally. So, let's take a look here and see how we can get to one of these. The trade union support. So if we add the trade unions to the government, we will stop increasing this. If we or actually no, we want to increase that. We can just turn on this. Our standard of living is starting to come down, which is great because now we are going to be paying less in government wages and is indicative of us not having a labor shortage anymore. We are paying 2K in interest. I wonder if we could turn this back on. It is, yeah. We can. Now, long term, what we're looking towards is we are looking towards damaging relationships with them, because we need to have a bad relationship with them to take either Moldova, this territory here, or Serbia, which is how we're going to form Romania. We're like just short of like where we want to be in terms of this. Alright, we're going to pause again. Once it ticks down to maybe like here, we'll be able to turn it back on and still build. That's fine right now. We're pretty yoked and built up here anyways, in terms of a lot of stuff. We just have to try and maintain import trade routes that are going to benefit us in terms of where things look, how things look. Yeah, everything's profitable. Everything's nice and chilling, except for the landowner owned stuff, which is fine. We're fine on infrastructure as well. We are being chilling. Decreasing enactment chance. Now they would be marginalized if they were not the leaders of the government, so I'm going to take another tick of this. If I get another negative event, what we will do is we will swap over to like going to presidential republic. And that will help out greatly, I think. We should be able to turn the construction back on now and run positive. I suppose at the very back of this, we will throw another government admin and then a railroad. Or we have a railroad at the front of it. We just have to be, yeah, each railroad gives like 20-ish. So we will throw another one at the back. We have to be a little bit careful not to overbuild. Just had to get the positive event. Just wanted a negative event. Also, our buildings are getting more profitable, and now we are going to build a bit of a cushion of a surplus, and then try and turn on the iron frame buildings again. Once we right this ship in terms of all that, we will call it a session. Let's see. Oh, it's in construction. Yep. Well, I mean, it says we can do it right now. I think it might be lying. It's because iron's really cheap. Whoops, finger slipped. Okay. This will make some of these buildings a lot more profitable. What are you shortage of? Let's see if we can fix this. Can import a little bit from the Russians, but we don't really want to pay that too much. Alright, we've had enough of this. We will go after them, and we will, before... The problem is it makes them really, really mad. Now, will it just advance? Looks like Is it advancing? It's stalled from the legitimacy being too low. So we have to have the legitimacy over this, which we can't do without the landowners and government, it looks like. Or can we add more? They're all angry. These groups collectively aren't strong enough. We can't pass this yet. We gotta wait a tick, and then... We could try and get rid of slave trade. Again. We have to put together a legitimate government that doesn't have the landowners in it. So I think this is how we do this. And we are making money and we are constructing again. The world is beginning to heal. Everything is good. Alright, what is... This is really profitable, but I don't think we'll be able to support a lot of it. We're gonna make sure every 6-ish we build a railway. We'll just put the railway in now. Really don't want to go under. What you talking about with us? Maybe that is why we had the dip, the start of a war with Austria against Prussia, because Prussia was our import from dyes, and now we just are, we're out of luck. Or someone else was? Education investment has been increased. We will get a nice amount of tech from all this. We aren't like hitting the cap, because we could build more unis to hit the cap, but each uni will cost us money. Suppose we'll add, well, we can go for the philosophy department, I guess. We just have to get it to 5. That'll be fine. We'll for sure be able to afford that. So we are going to ban slavery out here, and then we will get to work on what we wanted to work on anyways, which is we want to go multiculturalism. I don't think we want him to be popular, so we'll do that. We're making a nice amount of money. We'll wait till it, like, kicks up a little bit before doing that. Most of this money, if we take a look, is coming from the investment pool transfer, or a lot of it that is paying for the construction goods. So, I don't think we have an investment pool that's currently stored. We don't. So this is just kind of what our economy looks like for now. Would like to get a war versus the Ottomans before the end of this. We will actually also... We probably should have done this from the start. Just build a level 1 barracks, and then we're going to pay him a ton. That one guy. What we should have done is we should have just downgraded to tier 1. But, okay. And now what we can do, if we go into this tab, we can mill wage, we can pay this guy very maximum, and this just gives us armed forces approval. It doesn't cost a lot, it's only costing us 18 a tick, so it's kind of whatever. And we can also decrease taxes here, which will be nice. Alright. Don't hate Central Archives. I think that'd be okay. I think getting to mutual funds would also be good, because that would increase the investment pool transfer by quite a bit. And there's none of this we super want, so we will actually go central archives, and then mutual funds. The reason we're not going to go mutual funds immediately is because it takes 8 years, because there's a malice, because we have so much tier 2 tech research, or left on research. So we will work on that. Oh, is Moldova now in their market? Did Moldova get released? They're just in the Austrian market. Let's look at your diplomatic situation. Oh, you have a defensive pact and a customs union. Well, the defensive pact we will not be getting through. So, there is that. It's a bit unfortunate, because if we just tried to puppet them, we would have to fight Austria. We cannot fight Austria. The reason we can't fight Serbia, even though we're neutral, is because we have good relationships with the Ottomans. So eventually, that's why we're damaging relations with them, so that we can work our way into being able to take on Serbia, Bulgaria, and Dobru, whatever this place is called, to try and work on that. We did decrease taxes, and we're still rolling pretty good. We would like to solve our input shortage, but, you know, we can't. Unless we could declare an interest somewhere. I don't think we can. Oh, we can. Okay, so where can we declare an interest? Wait, why can't we declare an interest? Oh, because we don't have a port? We really could use a port. I guess we will declare an interest down here. Yeah, we really want to take this dirt from the autos, the kebabs. We will not use any PMs there. We will just pay them a lot. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or no, it's more like 4, and then... something like this. We can put in a new tax. That's nice. We're running a little bit of a deficit here. I think that'll just fix itself. Probably one of these became much less profitable. Nice. We're gonna pass enacting slavery ban soon here. Just taking a look, our POP is increasing steadily. We are siphoning off POPs from Austria, which is very feels good. They are culturally much similar to us than the Ottomans, so this is going to depress the price of labor. Notice the standard of living has come down, which is going to... Ooh, dynamite. Boom goes the dynamite. We'll just turn this on. It will make coal cheaper. It'll be a little bit less profitable itself, but hopefully... Well, maybe we can import? Yikes. Okay. Nope, we cannot. Now we're making hand over fist. Tools are very, very, very profitable. And we get the philosophy department. Just trauma, pure trauma. We'll go pragmatism. Notably, we've had, we just got kind of, let's see, we are wanting to go mutual funds. Now it's only 6 years because we got a new tech, so we probably have to go pharmaceuticals, or we'll actually go nationalism, organized sports, probably, because we're not, pharmaceuticals, Quinine is not going to be very useful for us. And slavery banned here, hopefully. Alright, so now we can take a look. We have oligarchy, and can we make a legitimate government that would go for this? Probably not. So we can't have Orthodox Church, the landowners, and the petite bourgeoisie, so let's take a quick look. I think I said armed forces. Or sorry, Orthodox Church. Armed forces. It would be legitimate. So we can go for it. Now... Although, we might just want to go... Well, these guys will be pissed at us afterwards, and they will probably radicalize. I don't think they'll radicalize first, so we will actually go for a presidential republic. Parliamentary republic would also probably be okay. The big difference is authority. Yeah, we'll go parliamentary. Or the parliamentary will radicalize more people, and then we'll take a look at the government. It is, they're just unhappy, so they're not radicalized, so they stay in the government. Very nice, so we actually will be able to pass this. Maybe. We cannot slow down the industry, because that is our entire economy. It's important to read that type of stuff. I mean, I guess... something like this. Ooh. Now, I don't know exactly how the rev pops, because we only have one state. Just auto wins? It says that entire state would attempt to secede. Interesting. So I guess we can't pass this. Weird. Interesting. Weird. Yeah, very weird. Yeah, we'll just go for, oh yeah, let's click on everyone except the one we want. We'll just go for multiculturalism. To try to siphon off more pops from Austria. And, we now have a righteous government. So this should pass pretty quick, actually. Or we'll get a fast tick on it. And look at all this money we're making. Again, it is very, very sensitive to changes in the Austrian market that we have no control over. So there's that. Like a big one being, I think we actually just want to switch off of, yep. We just want to switch off the dyes, because we can't just import enough dyes, so we're just going to switch off this. Oh no, we don't want to switch off this. Because if we switch off this, it'll be owned by the petite bourgeoisie, not the industrialists. It'll be owned by shopkeepers, which are primarily petite bourgeoisie. We don't want to switch off. That's painful. We'll let it tick some more, because this is kind of is the one we want to pass. We could take the Oppo out. We'll go nationalism. We have to figure out a way to get those dyes. Hey, now that there's not a war, we can import a little bit from Russia. That's not going to solve the problem, but let's take a look. Now, let's just say I wanted to conquer this state. Why is it so little infamy? Yeah, there's no way I could do that at this point in time. I have to try and continue to build this taller and just hope the Ottomans kind of collapse here. Again, multiculturalism is going to be a big driver of this, because this will help bring down our, increase the pops we are siphoning off of Austria. Man, just really wish we could solve this with the clothing. The clothing's basically never going to expand again until we figure out the dyes situation. Overbuilt a little bit. Let's see if we can turn this on in the PMs here. Are we paying for subsidies? Yeah, we are, so this will decrease the subsidies, or it should. Yep, perfect. functioning as we wanted. I think we could add a couple more construction centers. Public address, no please. Questionable practices, don't question them. I think we could afford the bureaucracy yet. I guess maybe not. That's fine. Everything's fine. Now, how strong is the Otto's Kebab's military? Except we would have to fight France and their allies as well. Oh, this is a big one for if you're a small power at the start. The prestige does help you declare more interest. The problem is we do not have a port. We really need this territory. Being a landlubber is not the ideal. Just do some more of this. We can also export them if they ever start. They keep being really, really expensive, so but we can export tools. Tools notably retain their profitability, I think, better than any other industry other than maybe clothes. And so we could also export really high levels to, like, the Russians. Let's do it. Which will make these buildings wildly profitable, and we get multiculturalism, so we will have to cancel a consumption tax. Oh no. Tragic. And we will take a look at our laws here, and we kind of have everything kind of set up the way we want. For the most part, we have public schools, we got multiculturalism and total separation, and no migration controls for the max amount of, I guess we do want to switch over to proportional taxation, but does it radicalize anyone? No, it doesn't. So, could it put in some of this stuff? Guaranteed Lives is pretty good. But this is the kind of first one. So, I think I will be calling it a session here. You know, a lot's gotten done in this session, obviously, because it's a very long session, but I don't think I'm going to be playing Wallachia anymore unless you guys are specifically interested in me continuing this run quite a bit. So I'll just give a rundown of kind of what the strategy was, which was, first, we want to encourage manufacturing here, and then build up really tall in just a few industries so we have massive economy of scales bonus. Every single one of these 29 tooling workshops is building 58% more tools than you otherwise normally would, which is a pretty big deal. So it means that we can be highly profitable. You'll notice it has it makes it so the building is profitable and can employ people at higher and higher wages, and the higher and higher wages drive up the standards of living, and as the standard of living increases, that increases the migration pull, and so this allows you to support an economy that is growing pretty quick despite only being on one state. If you did not, if you just spread apart all the industries, they just wouldn't be profitable. Standard of living wouldn't rise because they wouldn't be able to afford to pay anymore, and you would just have a bunch of buildings that could not afford to get enough pops. If you'll notice, at some points we had labor shortages, and so we even have labor shortages here, but we would have more labor shortages if we weren't building tall like this. You've noticed it's also very sensitive to a lot of stuff that goes on, so you get a lot of ups and downs, but so far this is the play. We did fulfill the long-term strategy of getting into the Austrians market. We wanted to be improving relationship with them from the get-go. Someone, as part of the war goal, released us on Ottomans. I've experienced this quite a few times when being a protectorate of someone. This has happened a few times. Or something else forced them to release. I'm not sure exactly how that works, and so if you know, please let me know in the comments. This has been my experience almost every time, that eventually they just release you. They let you go, and you can fly. let's take a look just like a little bit at our economy. Our economy, we have a GDP of 22 million. Take a look at Ottomans. They have a GDP of 25 million, and this might be what boots you out. This is kind of my theory, that once you reach a certain size of GDP relative to your overlord, it won't sustain you in there anymore. And we have, this is probably just a good comparison, we have a population of like 2 mil, that's dramatically increasing. They have a population of 20 mil. But this huge difference in the size of the economy means that pretty soon here, how the run would progress if we were trying to continue on, is we would be wanting to build a military relatively soon and going after the kebab. Because we can't go over to Moldova, unfortunately, because this whole situation, we can't, we have to stay nice with Austria. There's no way about it until we get some sort of coastal province, but this is why we really want this province, so that, for example, we can declare interests everywhere else. Our ability to declare interest is limited by the fact that we're landlocked, which is a tremendous disadvantage, and so we want to be able to do that. Another big part of the strategy, let's just go over the laws real quick. A huge reason why we are able to support all this is we are getting a huge national revenue transfer. Our national transfer is the size of all of, or even bigger, sorry, or it's not quite bigger because we have this, minus 25k, which will go away in a little bit. So we actually probably overbuilt construction again, but who cares? So the amount we're making is this number plus this number. Since this number is negative, we're like minus 13k right now. But this plus this, so 30k, we're getting 30k from the temporary national revenue transfer. This is from laissez-faire. It would be like half as much if we have interventionism. So this is a huge driver of the economy. When you build only industry, this is very, 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 very strong. And we are able to build only industry because we are inside someone else's market. Which notably, I think when we start passing up Austria's market, which we're not very close to doing, then we get booted out and then we're just on our own. So it is critical before that happens that we figure out a way to go after Dobruja and get this province. This province is very, very, very key. And then once we get a third, then we can go into the cultures and we can form Romania, which is kind of the largest strategy of what's going on. But I think that this is the best strategy if you are just building a single state inside someone else's market kind of run, because what we have done is we've grown a huge economy in, what is this, the first 25 years of the game, and we are getting close to the point, like we have 75 construction, that's pretty solid. There's solid numbers. Our buildings are pretty profitable. We might even want to expand into another industry sometime soon. Like, let's see, this wouldn't earn a lot. This would earn some. Probably arms, I guess, would be an industry that we would want to expand into here. Or one of these other ones, I suppose. Furniture is generally high demand. The problem is we don't have a lot of logging camps, so... and we don't have lead for the glass. We don't have a lot of the inputs for a lot of these, so I think that generally you want to have arms industries in your capital, so maybe like level 3 arms industries, something like this, and munition plants might be good, you know, to get ready to transition to being our own economy. These might be okay to add while working on mainly the tooling and the textile mills, which does kind of support like the whole rest of the shebang. You know, as you transition, you will need to start to get a bunch of this rural stuff that completely been omitted as you start to get ready to break away from Austria, or be ready to import it from someone else. So you'll probably want to have a declared interest in China and a ton of convoys, which is notably really hard to get with only one province. So, you know, something like this is kind of what's going on in terms of how to progress this run further. But I said I'd really quickly go over the laws. We want to, the big thing is getting rid of serfdom so you can get laissez-faire, and so you can start pushing through these better tax methods. Notice this one gives us an additional 9.3k. Proportional taxation is generally the best, and then you also want to push in no migration control, multiculturalism, and total separation, so that you can first of all get public schools from the total separation, but also the no migration controls combined with these two will make it so that a ton of pops migrate to your area, which will pull down the price of labor, which will increase the profitability of your buildings and allow you to have a high investment pool transfer. So like all this kind of centered all around the idea of having a really high investment pool transfer. And the third thing that's for having a high investment pool transfer is the throughput bonus. So, you know, the throughput bonus, the having a lot of immigration, and the what's the last one? Having a nice tax system, as well as having laissez-faire so you can get the investment full contribution to begin with. This is kind of what you need to be looking for in terms of how you're going to try and play as just a single state that would otherwise be very hard, in order to eventually go into the Cultures tab and the Nation Formation and click Romania, which we can't do. But do we have part of this state? So this is a split state. It's split, must be split between, so we must have part of Moldova and part of Dobruja. Is that the case? But it just all says Wallachia? Interesting. Okay, fair enough. So this has been a little bit of a time. If you have any requests for any specific nations, just doing a starting steps video, feel free to put them in the comments, because I did this one because of a request. You know, do the YouTube algorithm stuff, you know, like, comment, subscribe, it does help out, especially if you requested this one, I suppose. And then also, if you've been sitting quite a while, like if you've watched this, just cover to cover, this has been 2.5 hours. I might even split it up into 2 videos, probably not. But yeah, if you've been sitting a while, probably get up and take a walk, get a glass of water, this sort of thing. Anyways, have a good one.